Welcome back to Rappahannock Issues. I'm David Kerr with Tom Coden. We're talking about 2015 and we're talking about 2016, that transition from one year to the next. 2015 is where we are now. We're still talking about what was. And we had an election. Some people will be staying, some people will be going. One new addition to the Stafford County Board of Supervisors is Wendy Maurer. Wendy is just one member changing off the board, but there's an old saying about anybody, people, whenever you change one member out, especially a small group, it changes the whole dynamic of the board. And Wendy, I think Tom and I both know Wendy, and I think it's safe to say she's sort of a force of nature, and lots of energy, lots of ideas, and I think the board's going to feel the effect of her becoming a member.
Right. Cord Sterling is leaving the board. He's been really a dynamic entity, but Wendy is also a dynamic individual, and so that'll be interesting. We also lost in Stafford, besides Dana Reinbold on the school board, Barbara Decatur retired as clerk of court, and the major loss for the county is Charlie Jett stepping down as sheriff for Stafford County. Just a major innovator as far as bringing the county's police force into the 21st century while still keeping the elements of a rural community that people knowing it. I mean, there's still a lot of deputies who live in the county. People know them. And it's just a nice feel. He's doing a really good job as sheriff.
It's been a great outreach that he's managed for the past 15 years. And people know him. They feel like they can talk to him. I don't know many communities where 125,000, 30,000, where you feel that comfortable just going up to the sheriff and calling him Charlie.
Yeah. So that'll be that's sad to see him go. But if anybody could fill in his shoes, DP Decatur is a big guy and
he's
a really
good
man.
I wouldn't want to mess with him.
That's true. In Spotsy, we have Bill Neely, as we mentioned, lost for clerk of court, and Heidick. And then you had some people in Fredericksburg you wanted.
I wanted to mention Weldon and Ambrose Bailey, both members of the Fredericksburg City Council, father and son, and served respectively different eras, the 80s until very recently, and both of them passed on this year. Quite beloved in the Fredericksburg community, and they will certainly be missed.
Yeah. One thing we cannot miss is moving ahead to 16. It's only a couple days away from us. 16 will be an interesting year. We have the presidential election. We have congressional elections. And then in 17, we have the governor's race again.
But they're melding together this year. That's the weird part. Usually we like to have a little pause in 16, focus on the presidential race. We don't have a Senate race. That's
right.
Important to make it. We have people declaring for governor in 17 now.
Yes.
We're not even, we're what, about 6 weeks from the Iowa primary?
Yep. 5 weeks.
5 weeks from the Iowa caucuses, about 6 weeks from the New Hampshire primary, but we have people declaring themselves for governor in 2017.
Right. We have Ed Gillespie, who ran against Whitman and did rather well. Ran against Warner.
And it was a 15,000 vote margin, which in a statewide race in Virginia is extremely tight. And Warner was expected to win by a landslide.
Yes. I think somebody on this program predicted that it would be tighter than everybody else.
Oh, yeah. That had to be me.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then you have Ken Cuccinelli still pondering whether he's going to run again.
And if they decide by convention, he might be in a very strong position.
Possibly. And Delegate Scott Taylor is interested in running. And then now Congressman Whitman has thrown his hat into the ring saying he's going to.
I have to ask on that one. He plans to run for re-election this year, the House of Representatives. Then will be immediately running for governor or doing both. I think that's going to make things very interesting come to the fall election, how that'll be debated or discussed in public, whether this district is just so Republican or the Republicans will willingly acquiesce to that kind of arrangement. Really, I think kind of an open question. I think he's might be playing with fire.
It'll be interesting. I think there are people who would like to run for the seat, and we'll see if they wait until they find out. Dave Bratt is being challenged by a guy named Mike Wade. Bratt defeated Cantor for his seat, and then there's a lot of people still unhappy about the fact that Bratt won. So that'll be an interesting race down in that district.
On our power panel, we had Dr. Condit or Dr. Farnsworth. Dr. Farnsworth with the observation that Dave Bratt has one thing going for him. He's extremely popular in this district.
Yeah.
He has roamed the counties like he said he would.
Yep.
And so meeting him now, establishment versus non-establishment candidate, might be a little too late. Wait a while.
Right, and it'll depend. We have our March primary, which I know our power panel was saying that may be influential. I'm not too sure because of the fact is that I think 15 states all having it on the same day, which dilutes it. It also helps those who have a lot of money. So we'll find out in Iowa who wins Iowa, what happens in New Hampshire, who ends up getting through South Carolina and Nevada, and then finally getting to us in March. But to compete in 15 states, you need to have a good network and or a lot of money. It'll be interesting.
That really comes down to the only one who has, nobody has a really good network, and only one candidate I can think of, Trump, has the money.
Yep. Well, Cruz has a lot of money too, and seems to get a network.
That would be, it's interesting. He's now considered the moderate.
So at 16, we had the presidential election. Virginia will be an important state, which ties us into our governor. The governor is very closely affiliated with Hillary Clinton, and it'll be interesting how he gets through this session where he's still pushing for Medicaid expansion while the legislature is steadfastly against it. It's a philosophical discussion between the two, and we'll see what Governor Olive wants to do as a legacy.
It seems like both, one thing I'd say about the Democrats in 2016 is that both seem to be staking out much more left-wing positions, much looking at Northern Virginia as their base, doing that as a block, hold with more left-wing positions. That wouldn't have been the approach in the past. Tim Kaine, Mark Warner would have all taken centrist views.
Yep.
We're seeing a much more polarized dynamic for the general election.
And it sort of ties into how Warner didn't do so well, and I think the lesson from that they took was being a centrist is not going to be as beneficial in the state of Virginia as moving to the edge, and the Republicans are moving to the edge. So, we keep talking about this, that the country's polarized, Virginia's polarized, and if we don't stop for a break, we're going to be polarized. So you come back as we head into 2016, a little bit of 17. Come back after the break.